Testing, testing. JB here, JB here. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. October 5th, 2023. Just going to get on the audio quick. Don't really have too much to talk about. Different than what I've been saying for the last couple sessions. First, I'll start off with Weight Watchers down over 8% here, down at 961. Nothing has changed with the story, and whether this is just a sympathy move with the rest of the small caps, or if this is part of another one of these Wall Street Journal pieces that came out this morning. And I wouldn't just call it Wall Street Journal pieces because there's been plenty of Bloomberg, trying to think of some of the other places that have had some nice pieces over the last couple months. But they've been discussing Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro and the impacts outside of just the weight loss side, and diabetes. If you think of that sector as a whole, you have names like Dexcom, Pod, Tandem Diabetes. All those companies have fallen quite, I don't know if it's 35% or so, even more in some of these names, just because of GLP-1. And now you have all these articles coming out. And first, I'm trying to think of some examples, but this morning you had a double whammy. And the first was Walmart said that they're seeing some impact on some spending because people don't have as much of an appetite like they used to, and they're pulling back on spending in some of the snacks and candy and things like that. Pretty funny. I wouldn't call it funny, but maybe that's the future. And then you had a piece in the Wall Street Journal talking about all the big food producers, Kellogg's and Mars, even Hershey. Take a look at the Hershey stock just getting destroyed over the last couple months, and saying they're seeing what's that impact look like for these big food producers. Has that been baked into the stocks yet? Is it going to be a whole different landscape in the coming years? And I think it was a Morgan Stanley analyst was cited in the article saying by 2035 over 7% of the U.S. population is going to be on some kind of GLP-1 drug, which is I guess that if you estimate the U.S. population in 2035, that's over 7% of the population. So pretty, and that's why I've been saying for a while, it's a huge addressable market, and that keeps growing. And there's been articles in the past around the possibility that these GLP-1 drugs also take care of addiction. They reduce cardiovascular events, and who knows, there might be some other benefits down the line. But on the flip side, now you have people, because as they become more prevalent, you have all these I wouldn't call them hit pieces, but because people like to read up on these drugs, now anytime there's one person who goes to an ER saying, I've been having diarrhea and vomiting for 2 days now, and I think it's because I've taken Ozempic, and then a reporter comes, oh, please talk to me. Let's get this in print so we can get some clicks. But that's what's been happening lately. You see these people who have some adverse side effects to these drugs, and who knows if it is because they're taking one of these drugs or it's not, but it just makes for great articles, similar to what Tesla still has to this day, where there's however many hundreds of thousands of cars were on the road, and there'd be one event of a battery fire, and that would be it, right? It'd be in the headlines, the stock would be off 2%, all the Tesla Q crowd and the folks who think the Tesla's a zero will come out and say, oh, look at this, the batteries start on fire, Tesla's going to zero, it's going to bankrupt. Similar thing with their driverless programs, right? Once there's an accident, when the driver takes their hands off the wheel, it's all over the paper. The National Transportation Safety Board is all investigating, and the stock goes to zero. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be investigated, but it shouldn't be. It's such a minuscule amount, and it almost seems like the negative stuff exceeds the positive stuff by a landslide. So when everybody sees a negative article, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't use Ozempic, or it's going to have a huge impact on these stocks, where I think it's a totally different story. But anyway, so now you take a look at Weight Watchers, and it's selling off again today. I don't know if that's people thinking that Weight Watchers is just a weight loss meeting program and a diet program where people come and have in face-to-face weekly meetings, hold each other accountable, follow a point system, have a diet plan, things like that. If that's the case, if that's what you think Weight Watchers is right now, and that's all they're going to be, then yeah, maybe it's going to sell off and maybe down to $5 again, under $5, and it's going to be possibly a company that doesn't exist in the next five to 10 years because of the GLP-1 drugs in the future. But as it's totally the other way around, where I think they're just on the cusp of a turnaround. They have embraced the new clinical solutions, and by the time folks start realizing the stock's gonna be much, much higher. And not only that, by the time the company starts reporting results that are just eye-opening. I think that's what's going to be, in my opinion. Someone responded to Twitter saying everybody's going to be selling these drugs, but now you already saw on September 22nd, the Blue Shield of Michigan says that you need to be on a 6-month program first before they'll prescribe and insure a GLP-1 drug. So, and then citing Weight Watchers in the letter they sent out. I mean, that just has to be the start of a domino that's going to cause an effect across the country for these insurers. So anyway, I look at it, and I can't control what Weight Watchers does to stock. I can't control people from buying and selling. I just can control where I do my research and where I think things are going to go, and I think it still goes much higher. You look at the chart. I mean, if you pull it out, it actually doesn't look that bad considering the pullback today. And of course, I would love to see the $12, and I've been waiting for it. But if you pull it back, it's still up 125% this year, and it stinks. Of course, I would love to see it be up 300% by the end of October, but sometimes patience pays, I guess. So that's Weight Watchers. Don't want to talk too much about that. I was also looking at McDonald's today. McDonald's, they announced their dividend, which they always have a dividend. The stock was lower a little bit right at the open, and then popped up to $257.85. And in that Wall Street Journal article this morning, they had an interview with somebody who says that they can get McDonald's now and just have the Happy Meal, and it more than fills them up. Which, not that I'm saying that's bullish McDonald's or bearish. You have to think, McDonald's, maybe the Happy Meal is great for kids, but people who are used to maybe getting McDonald's every week or 2 weeks, now maybe they just don't crave it anymore. So what does that mean for a stock that's been on a tear? What does that mean for casual dining stocks? What does that mean for the fast serve sector as a whole? I don't know. And McDonald's is already off quite a bit from its highs in September. I think it was 280. I was actually looking at 250 weeklies. They were like 21 cents. I don't even want to look now. And I was looking at next week's. Next week's kind of expensive. Even 230. I think 237.50s. And the stock, it was 290 at the start of September. So I'll continue to play dominoes, right? I think if there's a way to protect myself just so I don't get caught in a reversal, because at some point these stocks will bounce for no other reason than they're oversold, I'll stick on the domino side because the premiums will remain elevated into earnings next week. I'll look to close some of my puts out for next week if I get a chance. I mean, hopefully I get a chance Monday or Tuesday, lock some in for profits. And if I can cover some of the costs, maybe I'll ride some free into earnings Thursday morning. But again, Domino's is the same kind of thing. How many folks do you know order Domino's? Domino's is open till 2 in the morning. I have to check the hours on a lot of these locations. But they are open 2, 3 in the morning because it treats that sector of folks who have cravings. They watch TV or they're hanging out or they're having a party, whatever. What happens if you're on GLP-1 now? Those cravings go away. And the midnight munchies, what does that do for a name like Taco Bell? How much of their business is done between 10 and 2 in the morning? Anyway, these are conversations I have in my head and things I got to kind of think out before I start. I'm not loading the boat on any kind of put side positions, but I think there's still some more opportunity for names for some downside. So that's why I like to trade Domino's Pizza. I talked already about it being highly leveraged, tons of debt, over 2 billion debts becoming due. The principal is due in 2025. The company only does $200 million in free cash flow on a yearly basis. So how are you going to pay that? You're not going to pay it, right? You're either going to dilute shareholders doing an offering, or you're going to try and refinance that debt, kick the can down the road further out, but it's going to be at a much higher rate. So now your interest payments, which I think it's $50 million a quarter now for Domino's. What does that look like? It's going to be a heck of a lot higher. I don't know how much of that is baked in. And again, that's why I talk about O'Reilly and I think it's O'Reilly. Yes, O'Reilly and AutoZone. I think AutoZone has like 9 or 10 billion. Sherman-Williams, another name, highly levered, tons of debt, paying dividends, financing dividends and stock buybacks via debt, which is great when you're paying zero, not a lot of interest. But when rates start to rise, what are you going to do? You know, and that's why with Domino's, if people don't have munchies anymore, their business has already been flatlining. I think their estimates this quarter is for a decline on same-store sales in the U.S. and international. International is a big part of their business too, but they have, I think they have a different. There's a division of Domino's that's not part of this company. It's been spun off. I forget exactly. I think they sold the trademark, but international hasn't been good as well. So if this continues, this whole thing has been, playing out. What is Domino's? Not only does it have the high, rates are rising, you have the debt situation, but now you have the possibility that your product's not in demand, not because of your marketing or because people don't like your food. It's because there's a drug out there that makes people less hungry. So, anyways, those are the rants. I still have some 350 spec puts. Going to need a big move here. Well, maybe down to 360 today and then a big move tomorrow. I'll continue to hold those. So hopefully you understand my thought process here. Yeah, and then LULU. LULU was gapping lower on no news this morning. I looked around. There was no analyst downgrade. It opened at 366 or so, and next thing you know, it's down at 360. Actually, I got JB here. Sorry about that. I'm back. Yeah, look at McDonald's sitting lows right now. I'm not going to sit here and chase it. Yeah, so LULU was gapping down, no news, all the way down. It was 366, all the way down to 360 in the early morning, and then has since bounced. Now it's back at 362. Still have the 360 puts. They were $3 at points in the morning, which was much better than where they were at the start of the week. So in hindsight, maybe I should have locked some in, I guess, but I held on to it this long. I figured if it breaks under 360, 355 or so. So that's kind of my target. Sell out the puts hopefully later today or tomorrow morning for $5. And then I'll probably stay away from LULU for now, despite the fact that it probably could still keep going to the downside. And then now on the flip side here is ULTA. And ULTA, I still have just a few of the 385s left. I've already locked a lot of those in for profits. I might actually look for some 370 or 365 or even 360 puts into next week. I might even look what they are right now. Let's see what those are looking like. So the implied move was $14. Yeah, 365s look pretty inexpensive on a risk reward basis on ULTA, right? So let's say 5.5% move between now and like Tuesday. You're talking it's down to 371 or so. Yeah, interesting. So may look to get some of those, because if you take a look at LULU has almost like a cult feeling to it, right? I think a lot of people think that brand is, it's a great brand. It's almost like, I wouldn't call it Apple, but some of those brands that have that mystique behind them, it seems like they're a lot harder to get on the short side. I'm not saying ULTA doesn't really have that either, but it's kind of, now that they partnered with Target, I think that brand's been a little bit diluted. I mean, so as I thought. I said the same thing with LULU when they finally worked out a deal with Peloton. Some other thing, I was looking at LOI calls yesterday. Sure enough, all the way up to, I think it's 531, then sold 536, sold back off, and then this morning it went from the low 530s all the way up to 542, about 541.42, and then it's kind of been just chomping around here. So I haven't traded LOI. I don't think I've ever bought a position in LOI. Probably gonna sit on my hands on this one. It just seems it wants to go, and it's down from $600 just a couple weeks ago, but I'll probably just wait until the market finds some footing. Tomorrow's a big day, right? So we have the September jobs report. If it comes in, unemployment rate goes up. It comes in below estimates, less jobs added. Market's going to rally. Whether that's 1%, 2%, it's going to. If we close at 422, where we are right now in the SPY, we'll be over 425. Tomorrow, yields will drop. It'll be all great heading into next week when earnings season kicks off. On the flip side, if it shows that the jobs, let's say the unemployment rate stays flat or even declines, which would be shocking, and it shows that the jobs as a whole is still strong, unemployment is still not rearing its head, I think the market's going to head down 415, 416 on the SPY, and then once it hits that, I'll reevaluate my short-term bear bias, I guess you would call it, my short-term downside bias. I don't like to call it bear yet. We are 20% was from October. we're technically out of the bull market, right? So that we're not up 20% from the October lows. Small caps are down on the year, which, I've talked about this a lot of times. There's usually at least one or two corrections on small caps a year. It's like on average. I think it's two is the average amount of corrections on small caps a year. So it's always been volatile. So it's not any different. It's just how much further do we head here? And if, take a look, we started 170, 161. Yeah, I mean, this is a key spot here. 170. Where did we start? 2000. Let's see. Let me take out the divvies. Yeah. 172.43, which is ironic. That's where I have that line for the trapdoor that I put on. So if we stay under that, maybe we get another 5%. And also, I mean, you take a look at this will be 1, 2, actually it was green last week, but small caps are down another 4% so far this week, and we still have another day to go. So interesting stuff. Tomorrow's gonna be huge. Yesterday we had the ADP report, which again was like a mixed bag. So you had the JOLTS reports showing plenty of jobs available, not a lot of turnover, and then you had the ADP report coming in showing less jobs added. So it was a mixed bag. You saw the expectations for the Fed to raise rates fell. I think it was 1 in 5 1 in 4. Now it's down to 20% chance that they're going to raise rates, and I think it's 33% at the December meeting. They're probably just going to stand pat, you would think. I think that's it. I'm trying to think of other names I was looking at. I mean, Roku. I put this on the watch list as potential bounce candidates. It's actually off the lows here this morning. Yesterday closed pretty much at the highs. Roku rarely has closed at highs unless it's in the midst of a multi-day rally. So that could be a sign at some point these names are going to start to really break out to the upside. At least even if it's just a short 2, 3, 4 day bounce before the next leg to the downside. Should be interesting. And then, what do we have? Like 38 more days until the next government shutdown, right? So people start talking. If things aren't worked out, we don't get a new Speaker of the House, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have these headlines start creeping up earlier, right? Because the news outlets already have pre-prepared remarks on the government shutdown because they were going on and on about it for over a week. What is it going to impact? Who's not going to get paid? So they're going to be putting that in our faces for a week or two, unless things get resolved, which probably is not going to happen until right up to the new deadline. And then that's it. Next week starts with the banks and Domino's Pizza. Domino's on Thursday. A lot of the banks are on Friday. Let's see if I have the calendar. BlackRock reports next week. Some of these names are off quite a bit. You look at Goldman Sachs over the last couple of days. That one's sold off quite a bit. Yeah, BlackRock's Friday morning. Let's see who else is on. Wednesday. We don't want Wednesday. Thursday. Oh, airlines. So you have Delta Airlines, Walgreens, and then Friday, JP Morgan, United Health, BlackRock, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, PNC Bank. So that's next Friday. So that's kind of the start. And then Monday, actually this is Tuesday morning, Bank of America, Johnson & Johnson, Goldman Sachs, because Monday's Columbus Day. So there's not, am I allowed to say Columbus Day, or the day we're not allowed to say that name anymore? I'm being sarcastic. So there's not a lot of companies reporting because it's somewhat of a holiday besides for the markets. And then Wednesday, ASML, Abbott, Morgan Stanley, NASDAQ. And then after the close Wednesday is Tesla, Netflix, Alcoa. So that'll be a big day next week. Tesla the week after. And then Intuitive Surgical is the following week, AXP. So earnings season, my favorite time of the year. That's it, folks. I don't think I have anything else. I mean, take a look at gold here, 1829. Got all the way down to 1826. That 1820 falls. I think 1800's a foregone conclusion, and then possibly even lower. I was looking at J-Dust and Dust again. Tough. Those are volatile. So I'll just be happy I locked some of my J-Dust in yesterday. I'll probably just hold on to those for now. Ride those maybe into next week and then try and revisit. Same with GLD. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll try and get on later or definitely tomorrow. Rock and roll.